This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Missy Kohler. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson. This segment of the news is brought to you by Silver State Health, bringing quality medical and psychiatric care to Pahrump. Call 775-505-1214 for an appointment.
Welcome to News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler, and today is January 6th.
Well, supporters of President Donald Trump breached the U.S. Capitol today after the president urged supporters to fight against the ceremonial counting of the electoral votes that confirmed President-elect Joe Biden's win. Hundreds pushed through the barriers, and one woman was shot and killed. Officers responded in full riot gear, some being called traitors for protecting the Capitol. It took about 90 minutes for the police to secure the building. Multiple officers were injured, with at least one transported to the hospital. President Donald Trump was urged to ask the rioters to stop, in which he eventually did ask them to go home. It's not clear if any of the individuals have been taken into custody at this time. The riot happened shortly after the Democrats took control of Congress by winning the votes.
We've received new information on a story that News 25 has been following for a few days. The Las Vegas Metro Police Department has made an arrest and are investigating a reported homicide. A man has been arrested for allegedly murdering his grandmother at this time. The family reported the grandmother's disappearance on January 2nd. They hadn't heard from her since December 31st. The body of an individual was reportedly found in a box partially buried in the desert near 373 and 95 highways. That's according to Nye County Sheriff Sharon Worley. The Nye County Sheriff's Office says that they were contacted to search the area by the Las Vegas Metro Police yesterday in an attempt to locate these remains after receiving information that a female had been buried in the area. The Clark County coroner told News 25 that the female is currently listed as Jane Doe, and the cause of death and manner of death has not yet been determined. We hope to have more information on that by tomorrow. We do know that 29-year-old Matthew Ayala has been arrested.
And two men are facing arrest after facing a list of charges in connection with the burglary of a Pahrump home.
Dylan Conders-Little and Eric Gentry are under arrest for what Nye County Sheriff's investigators say was their involvement in a residential burglary. It started when a man returned to find that his Pahrump home had been burglarized and several items, including 2 motorcycles, 3 laptop computers, and at least 1 firearm had been stolen. Deputies found tire tracks in the dirt outside leading toward a nearby home, and one of the deputies had knowledge of a search warrant that had been executed in 2018 at that residence where stolen motorcycles and OHVs were recovered. Through their investigation, officers were able to determine that Gentry lived at that address, and while there, they noticed some items that matched the description of the stolen items. The sheriff's office obtained a search warrant for Gentry's residence. Officers say they found several items the victim later identified as being those stolen from his property. During the investigation, deputies were also able to determine that Conders-Little was involved in the burglary as well. According to the arrest report, Conders-Little said he thought the home was abandoned and that he often checked out abandoned homes looking for old tools and scrap metal. The sheriff's office says they found stolen property in Conders-Little residence. Both men were placed under arrest. Eric Gentry is facing a charge of buying, possessing, or receiving stolen property. Dylan Conders-Little is facing a list of more serious charges, including residential burglary, grand larceny of a gun, conspiracy to commit grand larceny, 2 counts of grand larceny of a motor vehicle, and buying, possessing, or receiving stolen property.
Well, more News 25 coming right up.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest-reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. We're happy to have you with us tonight. American manufacturing is ramping up. GM ends 2020 strong, and the average buyer spends a record amount on their new ride. Here's what's the latest in the business world.
Topping our news, the New York Stock Exchange decided not to delist 3 Chinese telecommunications stocks. China Mobile, China Telecom, and China Unicorn all soared Tuesday on that news. The Trump administration wants to increase pressure on the Chinese companies that trade in America. The New York Stock Exchange decided not to go along with that U.S. government plan. American manufacturing is ramping up. The ISM index rose to 60.7 in December from 57.5 in November. A reading above 50 shows growth. Car sales at GM are cruising right along. GM reports sales were up almost 5% in the fourth quarter. The average buyer spent a new record of $41,000 getting into a new vehicle. Bentley Motors had its best sales year ever by selling 11,206 of its luxury cars in 2020.
Thanks, Angela. Well, Scott Lewis gave an emergency management update on COVID vaccines at yesterday's Board of County Commissioners meeting. He detailed the state's playbook and their tier plans for distribution.
We are about to restart extensive testing that will begin today. Our cases have continued to rise, including our death counts. Just to give you an idea, Pahrump has had a total of 1,860 cases. Amargosa has risen to 51, Beatty 18, Tonopah 90, Smoky Valley 8, Manhattan 4, Gabbs 1. So we've also increased our deaths up to 46, and there are several active cases coming in this morning. What I'd really like to focus on today is we're getting many inquiries about the vaccination process. So following the state's playbook, we are under Tier 1 of the vaccination process. And recall that we talked about that at the last board meeting, where the Tier 1 considers all the healthcare workers, emergency responders, the hospital, skilled and assisted living facilities, doctors' offices, clinics, etc. So as we move through that process, we have commenced the pods in the skilled nursing facilities, assisted nursing facilities, doctors' offices. So we've been moving quite a number of vaccines out into the Pahrump, Beatty, and Amargosa area. Today, there are 2 pods established for the same Tier 1 groups in Tonopah. And then we will be back here on Wednesday for a continuation of the Tier 1 by appointment with more of the clinics, doctors' offices, dentists, things like that. Once we get complete Tier 1, we then meet with the state, we go review the numbers, and we make a determination of moving forward to Tier 2. Now, as you'll recall, Tier 2 will include our courts, our school district, childcare, colleges, public transportation, significant imperative retail establishments, fuel, utilities, communications, and community support, mortuaries, et cetera, and public works, things along those lines. We'll always also consider our populations 65 and above. So we are working with many groups in order to make the Tier 2 preparation as seamless as possible. And what that means is we work with the Immunize Nevada, state vaccinators, the pharmacy associations, and even things like the sheriff's office on a regular basis, because there are certain security aspects that need to be maintained throughout these processes. So there are a ton of people involved, many agencies throughout the county, and we are working diligently to complete the tier process, again, that is established by the state. So I can't reinforce that enough. It is not tiers by county, it is tiers established by the state. Our job is to simply make sure that the tiers and the people within those tiers who desire to be vaccinated are vaccinated. We had significant numbers attending the vaccination pods, and thus far, no one has had significant adverse impact. So when we have a vaccination pod, we have multiple people on standby from an EMS component. We also have a security component. We also have a staging area, which is mandatory for 15 minutes post-vaccination to make sure there's no adverse impacts to those who were vaccinated. It's a very complex. It is probably, and I think the federal government stated it well, it's probably the biggest logistical endeavor ever to vaccinate as many people as possible in such a short period of time while maintaining the integrity of the process.
We'll be right back with more News 25.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by Canyon Ridge Periodontics. Give them a call at 702-966-0302.
Thanks for watching News 25. COVID-19 and flu are circulating simultaneously this season. If you're unlucky enough to get one or both viruses, Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Susan Ream says many people can care for themselves at home.
People with milder cases of influenza or COVID should pay attention to staying hydrated, monitor their temperature, monitor their breathing, get some rest, and obviously isolate.
Flu and coronavirus have similar symptoms and are nearly impossible to tell apart without testing. Dr. Ream recommends calling your healthcare provider if you suspect either illness because testing and treatment options differ. While there aren't any approved outpatient treatments for COVID-19, there are prescription antiviral medicines available to treat flu. Regardless of the virus you're fighting, it's important to recognize signs of distress and when to seek immediate help.
People should consider going to the emergency room or calling their doctor if they have severe shortness of breath, confusion, productive cough, meaning bringing up a lot of sputum with coughing, or any other symptom that is causing them distress that they can't take care of themselves at home.
As we wait our turn for a COVID-19 vaccine, Dr. Ream reminds us there's already a vaccine available to help prevent flu. She says in the midst of a pandemic, it's more important than ever to get a flu shot.
Thanks so much to Brad Francis for that report. Well, today's Save a Pet, we meet Sylvia. Darby O'Donnell joins us from Desert Haven.
Today's Save a Pet is proudly sponsored by Jason Ernest with Mountain West Lawyers. Call 775-727-9500.
Hi, I'm Darby here at Desert Haven Animal Society, and today we are joined with Sylvia. Sylvia is a 9-month-old domestic shorthair. I think that she is a Siamese mix. She has that kind of whitish gray coloring and little gray ears and beautiful blue eyes. She is a little bit on the shy side. She came in as a stray. She's a little bit scared. She's actually quite sweet. If you go and you hold her, she likes to kind of go and be kind of all cuddled up in your arms. They say that she likes to wrap her arms around your arm to kind of feel secure. So if you want to come and see her, she probably will be really shy, but I'm sure that once you go and you adopt her and bring her into her new home, after a while she'll definitely warm up, but she has a very cute personality. If you want to come and see Sylvia or any of her friends here in the cat room, give Desert Haven a call ahead of time to make an appointment. 775-751-7020, or look them up on their Facebook page at Desert Haven Animal Society.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler on location at KPVM Channel 25. We're here observing the weather, and some horses come walking up. I can't believe it, but it was on this week in broadcast history. In 1958, the Mr. Ed program came into being with the talking horse, and I think these are some of his cousins out here hanging out in Pahrump. Always a treat to see the horses. Hey, I'll tell you all about the weather and everything we can expect this week when we return.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. Did you know it was on this date back in 1975 that Wheel of Fortune debuted? Pat and Van is still there. Congratulations. The casinos will never sound the same without you. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about up in Fernley, don't they? Yes, they do. 48 degrees for high today, 25 for a low. Out in Fallon, they're spinning up that wheel to 51 degrees and coming down to 18 degrees tonight as we approach morning. Carson City, 53 degrees was your high today. 25 will be your low this evening. All the way up to Tonopah, 47 degrees. High today, 18 degrees for a low. And as we head south of Goldfield, 48 is feeling fine out in the Goldfield sunshine. 20 degrees for a low tonight. Beatty, 60 degrees, 32 for a low tonight. Amargosa, a little bit warmer, warmer. Just right, 63 degrees, 34 for a low. Las Vegas, 61 degrees was all you got today. And 38 degrees is going to feel a little chilly tonight. Better get one of them street tacos if you're down on Fremont Street. Death Valley, you're all the way up to 70 degrees. 45 for a low. And here in the paradise of Pahrump, we're looking at 57 degrees right now. That's a little bit off the mark. It's been very pleasant. 62 degrees is our high today. Southwesterly winds to 4 miles per hour. Humidity right about 19%, just enough to keep the skin, dewy and glowy. Sun rose this morning at 6:55 this morning. Set this evening at 4:44. Kind of a weird looking number, but and maybe in the world of numerology, it actually means something. I don't know. A low tonight of 35 degrees, easterly winds to 3 miles per hour, and some clouds and humidity up to 32%. And as we head on into the week, let's take a look at this. Big puffy cloud, another little puffy cloud. No clouds on Saturday. What happened? Well, the wind's going to kick up on Saturday to 12 miles per hour, blow out all the clouds, and then they're going to return again as the winds die down. We're starting the week with highs in the low 60s. We're going to end the week with highs in the high 60s. Oh, it's going to get good. And the lows at night, mid-30s as we travel on through time. So there you go. That's your report. Back to the desk. It's Missy and Deanna.
Thanks so much, Sean. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.
Good night.